That'd be amazing. I think we might be seeing a 49-state landslide. I just really think it's more likely that Trump wins 520 electoral votes. No amount of mail-in ballots will matter. If Trump gets 537 or 36 or even 538 every single electoral vote. We all know Joe Biden will lose. Like, let's be real, man. As I've stated 1,000,001 times, Donald Trump's gonna win. The Republicans are gonna sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump. Everything I've told you will be wrong and completely meaningless. So keep that in mind.
And strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha 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 ha.
Strike and strike and smash. Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. The king of disease. My daddy. The king of death.
Victory, victory.
Smashed it with your iron rod. Smashed it.
God, my daddy. I do not care what doctors say. I don't care what Arizona says. I care what Pennsylvania says.
Strike and strike and smash. Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. They can't beat my daddy. This is the highest level witchcraft and manipulations, massive warfare, and massive witchcraft. A feminine spirit told me about a guy who was rah 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 until the news started saying things, and all of a sudden he said, "Well, Trump should have humbled himself." Well, things would have been different if. Things are different only when God says they are different. I don't care. I do not care. I don't care what the media says. Care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says. Care what states say. Care what government says. I certainly don't care what doctors say, teachers say, businesses say.
We win. Ha ha. We win. Ha ha. We win. Ha ha.
Strike and strike and smash. Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my daddy. I think Kamala and Biden might be throwaway candidates. They know they're going to get steamrolled in the election. I really don't see the Democrats winning this. I think it's fair to say Trump's going to win re-election. I think Trump might have a massive, massive victory, which shocks the left. I think we're looking at a Trump victory, man. Trump 2020 landslide, even with everything going on with COVID. I think that's what we can expect. I wouldn't be surprised at all
if Trump had a 49-state landslide. I think we could see a 49-state landslide. We may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump landslides 49 states. And we may see a 49-state landslide. Maybe a 50-state landslide. That'd be amazing. I think we might be seeing a 49-state landslide. I just really think it's more likely that Trump wins 520 electoral votes. No amount of mail-in ballots will matter. If Trump gets 537 or 36 or even 538 every single electoral vote. We all know Joe Biden will lose. Like, let's be real, man. As I've stated 1,000,001 times, Donald Trump's gonna win. The Republicans are gonna sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump. Everything I've told you will be wrong and completely meaningless. So keep that in mind.
And strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha, 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 ha.
Strike and strike and smash. God, take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. The king of disease. My daddy. The king of death.
Victory, victory.
Smashed it with your iron rod. Smashed it.
God, my daddy. I do not care what doctors say. I don't care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says.
Strike and strike and smash. God, take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. They can't beat my daddy. This is the highest level witchcraft and manipulations, massive warfare, massive witchcraft. A feminine spirit told me about a guy who was rah, rah, rah until the news started saying things, and all of a sudden he said, well, Trump should have humbled himself. Well, things would have been different if. Things are different only when God says they are different. I don't care. I do not care. I don't care what the media says. Care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says. Care what states say. Care what government says. I certainly don't care what doctors say, teachers say, businesses say.
We win. Ha ha. We win. Ha ha. We win. Ha ha.
Strike and strike and smash. God, take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my daddy.
I think Kamala and Biden might be throwaway candidates. They know they're going to get steamrolled in the election. I really don't see the Democrats winning this. I think it's fair to say Trump's going to win re-election. I think Trump might have a massive, massive victory, which shocks the left. I think we're looking at a Trump victory, man. Trump 2020 landslide, even with everything going on with COVID. I think that's what we can expect. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump had a 49-state landslide. I think we could see a 49-state landslide. We may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump landslides 49 states. And we may see a 49-state landslide. Maybe a 50-state landslide. That'd be amazing. I think we might be seeing a 49-state landslide. I just really think it's more likely that Trump wins 520 electoral votes. No amount of mail-in ballots will matter. If Trump gets 537 or 36 or even 538 every single electoral vote. We all know Joe Biden will lose. Like, let's be real, man. As I've stated 1,000,001 times, Donald Trump's going to win. The Republicans are going to sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump. Everything I've told you will be wrong and completely meaningless. So keep that in mind.
And strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha, 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 ha.
Strike and strike and smash. God, take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. The king of disease. My daddy. The king of death.
Victory, victory.
Smashed it with your iron rod. Smashed it.
God, my daddy. I do not care. I care what doctors say. I don't care what Arizona says. I care what Pennsylvania says.
Strike and strike and smash. God, take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. They can't beat my daddy. This is the highest level witchcraft and manipulations. Massive warfare, massive witchcraft, a feminine spirit. Told me about a guy who was rah, rah, rah until the news started saying things. And all of a sudden he said, well, Trump should have humbled himself. Well, things would have been different if. Things are different only when God says they are different. I don't care. I do not care. I don't care what the media says. I care what Arizona says. I care what Pennsylvania says. I care what states say. I care what government says. I certainly don't care what doctors say, teachers say, businesses say.
We win. Ha ha. We win. Ha ha. We win. Ha ha.
Strike and strike and smash. God, take your iron rod.
God, by the
I think Kamala and Biden might be throwaway candidates. They know they're going to get steamrolled in the election. I really don't see the Democrats winning this. I think it's fair to say Trump's going to win re-election. I think Trump might have a massive, massive victory, which shocks the left. I think we're looking at a Trump victory, man. Trump 2020 landslide, even with everything going on with COVID. I think that's what we can expect. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump had a 49-state landslide. I think we could see a 49-state landslide. We may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump landslides 49 states. And we may see a 49-state landslide. Maybe a 50-state landslide. That'd be amazing. I think we might be seeing a 49-state landslide. I just really think it's more likely that Trump wins 520 electoral votes. No amount of mail-in ballots will matter. If Trump gets 537 or 36 or even 538 every single electoral vote. We all know Joe Biden will lose. Like, let's be real, man. As I've stated 1,000,001 times, Donald Trump's going to win. The Republicans are going to sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump. Everything I've told you will be wrong and completely meaningless. So keep that in mind.
And strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha, 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 ha.
Strike and strike and smash. Rika DJ,
Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy.
Ha, ha.
Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. The king of disease. My daddy, the king of death.
victory, victory.
Smashed it with your iron rod. Smashed it.
God, my daddy. I do not care what doctors say. I don't care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says.
Strike and strike and smash. Rika DJ,
Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy.
Ha, ha.
Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God,
I think Kamala and Biden might be throwaway candidates. They know they're going to get steamrolled in the election. I really don't see the Democrats winning this. I think it's fair to say Trump's going to win re-election. I think Trump might have a massive, massive victory, which shocks the left. I think we're looking at a Trump victory, man. Trump 2020 landslide, even with everything going on with COVID. I think that's what we can expect. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump had a 49-state landslide. I think we could see a 49-state landslide. We may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump landslides 49 states. And we may see a 49-state landslide. Maybe a 50-state landslide. That'd be amazing. I think we might be seeing a 49-state landslide. I just really think it's more likely that Trump wins 520 electoral votes. No amount of mail-in ballots will matter. If Trump gets 537 or 36 or even 538 every single electoral vote. We all know Joe Biden will lose. Like, let's be real, man. As I've stated 1,000,001 times, Donald Trump's going to win. The Republicans are going to sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump. Everything I've told you will be wrong and completely meaningless. So keep that in mind.
And strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha, 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 ha.
Strike and strike and smash.
Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy.
Ha, ha.
Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. The king of disease. My daddy. The king of death.
Victory, victory.
Smashed it with your iron rod. Smashed it.
God, my daddy. I do not care what doctors say. I don't care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says.
Strike and strike and smash.
Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. They can't beat my daddy. This is the highest level witchcraft and manipulations. Massive warfare, massive witchcraft. A feminine spirit told me about a guy who was rah, rah, rah until the news started saying things. And all of a sudden he said, well, Trump should have humbled himself. Well, things would have been different if. Things are different only when God says they are different. I don't care. I do not care. I don't care what the media says. Care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says. Care what states say. Care what government says. I certainly don't care what doctors say, teachers say, businesses say.
We win. Ha, ha. We win. Ha, ha. We win. Ha, ha.
I think Kamala and Biden might be throwaway candidates. They know they're going to get steamrolled in the election. I really don't see the Democrats winning this. I think it's fair to say Trump's going to win re-election. I think Trump might have a massive, massive victory, which shocks the left. I think we're looking at a Trump victory, man. Trump 2020 landslide, even with everything going on with COVID. I think that's what we can expect. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump had a 49-state landslide. I think we could see a 49-state landslide. We may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump landslides 49 states. And we may see a 49-state landslide. Maybe a 50-state landslide. That'd be amazing. I think we might be seeing a 49-state landslide. I just really think it's more likely that Trump wins 520 electoral votes. No amount of mail-in ballots will matter. If Trump gets 537 or 36 or even 538 every single electoral vote. We all know Joe Biden will lose. Like, let's be real, man. As I've stated 1,000,001 times, Donald Trump's gonna win. The Republicans are gonna sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump. Everything I've told you will be wrong and completely meaningless. So keep that in mind.
And strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America.
I hear the sound of victory. Woo! Angels being released right now. All right. I hope you guys like that. Welcome to the Pitchfork Podcast, guys. I am Dion McDill, aka Devil's Advocate, aka Fuse Panel 86, aka Devil's Advocate, aka Mr. Devil's Advocate. Oh man, it was cold outside today. Anyways, guys, let me know how you doing today. Let me know how you feel. Hit the like button, hit the share button, leave a comment, let people know that I run this podcast. If you want to participate in the show, number to call in is 253-203-6784. Again, number to call in is 253-203-6784. Let me go ahead and set up the Skype real quick to make sure I'm not lying to you. So that you guys can call in. Now, if you want to participate in the show in other ways, if you don't have a phone to call in with, because I try to adjust, I try to be understanding based on that, because I understand a lot of people right now don't have phones because, you know, financial times are hard, man. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault, guys. I want you to know that. So I'm going to use my Discord link and leave you a Discord chat link so that way you can call in and you can tell me what you think about the show and what you think about me, or just how your day's going. I want to know how you guys are surviving this pandemic. How are you surviving the MAGA storms? So here's a link to my Discord chat. All right, guys, link to my Discord. Also, if you check the description, links should be there. Also, the invite link should not expire per se. However, if someone calls in, we'll take a break from the news to take that call. However, until then, guys, we got to get into the news. We got to get right into the news. We can't waste any time. We got a lot of news to cover. But anyways, guys, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button. Make sure you tell people that I run this podcast every day. Also, make sure you have your QAnon, your MAGA friends, all your friends to call in, because I want to hear from these people. You know, you show up in my comment section, you show up on the show, I'm going to ask you to call in. If you don't call in, then you ain't going to just keep commenting and leaving silly stuff. No. Hashtag no more cowards. Stop being a coward. I gave you the number to call in. I gave you a Discord chat link. You're not going to just troll. No. Moderation. But my free speech, I'm not the goddamn government. This is my world. You decide to come here, then you opted to play by my rules. You can't play by my rules, well then you can get the hell on through then. However, that's not the point of my show. The point of my show is the news. So let's get into the news. All right. Let's get into it. Number to call in, again, is 253-203-6784. And the one thing that I'm going to say, if I start noticing comments, they're just silly in nature, I'm going to ask that person to call in. If that person does not call in, well then I'm going to tell them to F off. Because the one thing that I've noticed is that whenever you start discussing things, whenever you start bringing things up, suddenly everybody wants to be brave. But then when you call them out, people start getting cat-toned. Nobody's freaking brave then. So I just want people to understand that you're not gonna just sit here and BS me. Okay. With that being said, we're gonna get to the first news story. FoxNews.com. Maryland man wearing company ID badge in Capitol arrested, banned from DC. So this man right here, the guy that was wearing his company ID as he stormed the Capitol, he has been fired from a marketing firm in Maryland, got fired from his job, got arrested, and on top of that, he's banned from Washington, D.C. Oh my God. Brother, you is you gotta make some better choices. Brother, you gotta make some better choices. I gotta say, here's a link to the news story if you guys want to follow along. Links in the chat. If you are on VK, D Live, YouTube, or Twitch. By the way, guys, I am on several different platforms live streaming all at once. But let's get back into the news story. All right, so this is the man's name is Nicholas Rodin. He's 26 and was fired from a marketing firm in Frederick, Maryland over the photos. So the guy who was wearing his company ID badge, he's been fired from his job and also arrested. So please, guys, in the chat, press F for our brave MAGA warrior. Press F for our brave MAGA warrior. Let's go and get to this story. A Maryland man who was photographed inside the U.S. Capitol wearing his company's ID badge, standing next to the viral horned rioter, turned himself in to authorities Wednesday and has since been banned from Washington, D.C., except to attend future court dates. They said, listen, you can come to D.C., but only to come to court. Oh, my God. Nicholas Rodin, 26 of Frederick, Maryland, turned himself in at the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department's 2nd District Precinct Station on Wednesday morning, the Baltimore Sun reported. He was charged with entering a restricted building, disorderly conduct in a restricted building, and parading, demonstrating, or picketing. So this man right here is seen next to Buffalo MAGA furry, yelling. The man with some serious mental issues. His mother said that he only can eat organic food. And by the way, I want to go ahead and make sure I cover that particular story because I just love it. I just love it. A judge ordered Rodin to be released later that afternoon, requiring him to stay out of the District of Columbia except for court appearances. Rodin was photographed wearing a badge for his employer, Navistar Direct Marketing, around his neck while parading a Trump is my president flag around the halls of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. So this man wore his work ID badge. Why would you wear your work ID badge if you're obviously not at work? They had to fire him. They had a choice. Because suppose the company says, okay, I don't want any, I don't mind if you protest. I just don't want you wearing company shit while you're doing it. If that's their position, that's perfectly fair. Especially given everything that's been going on the outside. I can't rightfully blame them. I mean, would you want at this point a bunch of political symbols at your place of work? Especially given what actually happened here. This man wore his company ID badge as he stormed the Capitol. So he's the guy in the orange freaking Trump hat here. That's to the right of our Buffalo MAGA furry, or Jake Angeli, the guy with the buffalo horns there. Let's go down here. The marketing firm in Frederick subsequently fired Rodin after he was connected to the riot. See, so many people have lost their jobs. So many people have lost their entire livelihood, right? Because they wanted to riot. And that's the weirdest part. This man wore his company ID badge. Do you understand how out of your mind you gotta be to wear your company's ID badge to somewhere where you know you're probably gonna do something illegal, right? The worst thing you can do when you're gonna do something illegal is to tie your work into it. Because suppose for a second you do get away with it, right? Where you gonna work? You couldn't even you couldn't even really, you couldn't go back to normal life even if people didn't discover that it was you that was there. So Navistar Direct Marketing made a Facebook post here. Navistar Direct Marketing was made aware that a man wearing a Navistar company badge was seen inside the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021 during the security breach. After review of the photographic evidence, the employee in question has been terminated for cause. While we support all employees' rights to peacefully, lawfully exercise of free speech, any employee demonstrating dangerous conduct that endangers the health and safety of others will no longer have an employment opportunity with Navistar Direct Marketing. Oh my God! So they put that out about a week ago. So he was one of the first people that they actually found. It's just that we are first hearing about it because he put his name out there because he committed the crime with a goddamn name badge on. Oh my God! Another viral photograph cited in the federal criminal complaint showed Rodin inside the Capitol building standing next to a man wearing a bearskin headdress and horns and his face covered in a star-spangled design. That man has been identified as 33-year-old Jacob Ansley, a believer of the unfounded QAnon conspiracy theory, also facing federal charges in the rioting at the Capitol. On January 8th, Charles Burnham, an attorney representing Rodin, voluntarily called the FBI's Washington field office to confirm that his client would like to turn himself into law enforcement. In court Wednesday, Burnham reportedly told a judge that Rodin has special needs, the Sun reported. So his lawyer went to court and said that the guy that was wearing the name badge while he stormed the Capitol, he has special needs. He's a special needs case. Listen, I told y'all, I said the man with the buffalo horns and the bearskin crap on, and this guy with a name badge on, his face, if you even look at his face, he looks like one of them people who just look at this man's face. Look at his face, right? There is no way that you're telling me a man that rushes the Capitol, even though, right, he's got a hoodie, so he can kind of just pull that hoodie up and kind of cover his face. This man didn't even shave. He didn't attempt to cover his face. He didn't even take off his work ID badge. Didn't even take off his work ID badge. Didn't even take off. I'm going to say it one more again. This man rushed the Capitol with no mask on, wore his work ID badge, and was found almost immediately. We're just hearing about it recently, but his company about a week ago fired him, let him go, because they knew who he was. They were like, wait a minute, we printed that name badge. Oh my God. How my man go? Listen, do you understand what's got to be going through your mind? That's how you know. And again, I'm not going to make fun of the special needs, right? But this man has to be special needs. Could you ever picture a crime that you would commit while in plain clothes that you wear every day so people can recognize your clothes, while not wearing a mask so people can recognize your face on top of recognize your clothes, but then you wear your work ID? There is no. That's why I told y'all days ago. These two men right here in particular. There's no way that they're well upstairs. There's just no way. There's just no way. There's no way that they got it all upstairs. There's no way that they're sane. They got issues. And that picture that you're looking at right there, with one man screaming with buffalo horns on his hand, shirtless, looking like a goddamn psycho, with a freaking American flag poster he has fashioned into a freaking spear, and the guy next to him wearing his work badge as they're committing felonies. That picture tells the whole story of mental illness. The amount of mental illness that you had to have here. Let's move on. God damn. So this is written on January 7th, but I want to give you guys a link to this so you can hear more about Jake Angeli. It's a little background on him from Fox News. And so we're going to get to another story about Jake Angeli, Buffalo MAGA furry. His military service, the reason why he was kicked out of the Navy. Because once again, these people support our troops so much that when they were troops, they were garbage. Like the one Army captain who's just being separated from the Army, who's now being investigated by the FBI because of her apparent role in this, or her alleged role in this. I'm not gonna give it any more thought beyond that. But let me pause this advertisement, or at least mute it, or better yet, until we get some calls. Mute that. All right, so a man in bearskin headdress in Capitol was booted from Navy over refusal of vaccine, report says. Navy declined to reveal type of discharge he received. All right. So, a shirtless rioter wearing a horned bearskin headdress who stormed the Capitol during a mob attack last week, once served in the Navy, but was booted after refusing to take a vaccine, according to media reports. He once served in the Navy, but he didn't want to take a vaccine, so he got kicked out. So he loses his good ass job and ends up living with his mother, where he can only eat organic food, according to her. Anyway, so but Jacob Anthony Angeli Chansley, 33, a believer of the unfounded QAnon conspiracy theory, was arrested Saturday and charged in federal court for his alleged role in the January 6th attack. Photos of Chansley went viral, showing him wearing horns and his face covered in a star-spangled design. A Navy official told Task and Purpose, an online publication for the military community, that Chansley was kicked out of the service over his refusal to take an anthrax vaccine. So this is not even about COVID. It's about anthrax. Something that we know kills people. We know this. Everybody knows this. So this man refused to take an anthrax vaccine, and that's why he got kicked out of the freaking Navy. Buffalo MAGA furry had an actual good job with an actual good career. If you just did 20 years, you can get a freaking retirement. This man gave all that up, because he didn't want to take an anthrax vaccine. Oh my God! Let's move on. He served in the Navy as a supply clerk seaman apprentice from September 2005 to October 2007, according to Navy records provided to Fox News. He was assigned to the USS Kitty Hawk before he was transferred to a transient personnel unit in Puget Sound in Washington State. Yeah, Puget Sound. I know all about that area. Yeah, in fact, I know the area that he got transferred to. The Navy declined to reveal the type of discharge Chansley received, citing privacy concerns. He isn't the only military veteran to garner headlines in connection to the Capitol riot perpetrated by pro-Trump protesters angry over unfounded claims of election fraud. The Army is investigating a special operations officer, overheard leading a group to a pro-Trump rally that preceded the attack. Larry Randall Brock, a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel, was spotted dressed in military gear in the Senate chamber. He is also charged for his alleged actions. And again, I want to give you links to those stories. This is the one story about our girl Rainey, the PSYOPs officer who was on there. Let me get that. Let me repost that again because it didn't go over to Twitch. All right, there we go. Now on to come back here and get Larry Randall Brock, the retired Air Force lieutenant colonel. Once again, if you're going to be a lieutenant colonel or have a high rank like that, right? The one thing you don't want to do is commit crimes, because people are going to recognize you almost immediately. Almost immediately. Like it won't even be like an actual effort. They will recognize you almost immediately. Okay? So you just don't want to be well known and commit crimes. I mean, I just don't understand why these people want to be well known but also commit crimes. Don't be well known and commit crimes because it just doesn't work out. Let's move on. All right. Florida firefighter in Capitol riot photo wearing Trump hat pointing to Pelosi sign released on $25,000 bond. Oh my God. Andrew Williams, a firefighter paramedic with the Sanford Fire Department, was arrested by the FBI Tuesday. Good Lord, $25,000, bro. Good night. $25,000. Who has $25,000? Right? Who has $25,000 to throw out there? Let's get down there. Let's get down into it. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be juicy. A firefighter in Central Florida was arrested by FBI agents and released on $25,000 bond Tuesday after a photograph surfaced online showing him inside the U.S. Capitol during the insurrection January 6th. As rioters stormed the building, Andrew Williams, a firefighter I can't even say it right. Jesus. As rioters stormed the building, Andrew Williams, a firefighter paramedic with the Sanford Fire Department, was photographed wearing a pro-Trump baseball cap while pointing to a sign over a doorway that reads Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. There's our boy right there. There's our boy. That's our brave MAGA Ranger. Our brave MAGA Special Forces. This guy's a firefighter, has a good job, a very good job. I mean, his job, listen, in Florida, right? His kind of job, what they get paid, this man, he has enough money, right, to survive. He has enough money to live on. And this man threw all that away, right? Threw all that away because he thought the election was stolen from somebody else. You've got people out there, right, who's saying, well, these people have families, they have jobs, they have livelihoods, and that's all true. But I care. But apparently, who was criticizing them, cares more about their jobs than they do. Let's go down here. Wait till the article unfreezes here for a second. FBI agents arrested Williams Tuesday. He is charged with one count of unlawful entry. He's charged with one count of unlawful entry of a restricted building and one count of disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds. He appeared in federal court in Orlando, where a judge granted his release on a $25,000 signature bond. 25 stacks. God. Listen, man. That is a costly mistake, my friend. That is a costly mistake. $25,000. And then in terms of his release agreement required Williams to surrender any firearms and his passport, restrict his travel, and submit to mental health evaluations and drug tests. WKMG TV reported. So he had to actually give up his firearms, had the passport. I mean, dang, man, You made a terrible mistake, a terrible miscalculation, my friend. I posted that link in the chat too, so I want you guys to see that. This is from a Orlando news source about his drug test and his guns being taken. Williams, who has worked with the Sanford Police, the Sanford Fire Department since 2016, has been charged by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Florida confirmed to WESH TV. So that's your man right there, the Florida firefighter. There we go. He's pointing up to Nancy Pelosi. How you gonna take off your mask, be a firefighter, a state employee with the state? So meaning the federal government is probably aware of it. There are people in your town who probably could use a firefighter to help put out fires. But you're down in the Capitol causing damage, or allegedly causing damage. I should say allegedly causing damage. He's pointing up to the sign which says, Nancy Pelosi, you took your mask off. You had a mask on. You took it off to take that picture and provide evidence. I mejust you are a firefighter, so you work in close contact with police officers all the time. You have to know. You just have to know that taking off your mask during this period is a terrible idea. Walking out of the courthouse in Orlando Tuesday, Vince Citro, the attorney representing Williams, said President Trump and the U.S. Capitol Police encouraged despicable behavior, and his client took part in none of it. In fact, you'll notice in the complaint there are no allegations that he did any of those things, Citro told reporters. So here's a video of his attorney. I want to play that because I like it when I hear lawyers talk, because lawyers they are the best bullshitters, the best bullshitters. So I want to hear his freaking lawyer talk. I do.
Presidents and the Capitol Police encourage despicable behavior. Mr. Williams took part in none of it. In fact, you'll notice in the complaint there are no allegations that Mr. Williams did any of those things. Oh, watch the car coming. Mr. Williams, do you think he did anything wrong? What were you planning to do with the guy? Presidents and Capitol Police encourage despicable behavior.
Delicious. I tell you, man, that was, that's more delicious than my Cheetos here. Delicious. The president and the president encouraged terrible behavior, and he's blaming the U.S. Capitol Police. Sir, you were in that building for no reason, and notice how he's not putting any of the blame on his client. Did the president or U.S. Capitol Police, as you try to actually blame them, did they force your client to go inside the Capitol building? Did they take him in there at gunpoint? Or was he there of his own free will, pointing up at the sign says Nancy Pelosi? He did that of his own free will. So again, I love it when lawyers talk, because lawyers are such good bullshitters. Because he bullshit that entire time. But let's move on. Let's also mute the sound again. If you guys want to participate in the show, the number to call is 253-203-6784. Again, the number to call is 253-203-6784. Let's move on. As of Tuesday, Williams was placed on administrative leave without pay pending the results of the current administrative and criminal investigations against him, the Sanford Police Department said in a press release. We hold the men and women in this department to the highest standards. It saddens me that the actions of one individual have tarnished the hard work and dedication that the rest of the department puts forth on a daily basis, Sanford Fire Chief Craig Radzak said. Our investigation will continue to our investigation will continue in conjunction with the current federal criminal investigation. His statement continued. As is policy with any type of policy As is policy with any policy violation, including a criminal violation, an internal administrative process must be followed in order to ensure a thorough investigation with a just conclusion. I ask for the public's patience as we move through this process. The department launched an internal review on January 7th when it was first made aware of the photo showing Williams inside the Capitol building during the unlawful entry made by protesters. At that time, he was placed on administrative leave with pay until his arrest. So when he was arrested, it was like, okay, well, you know what? You were suspended with pay because, again, it's only alleged, but we now have photos, lots of photos, and they just arrested you, boo-boo. So we gonna change that from suspended with pay to suspended without pay. Lost your good ass job because you on the right. Oh my God! Let's go ahead and move on. Virginia off-duty cops who snapped selfie inside Capitol charged Jacob Fracker and Thomas Robinson are on leave from the Rocky Mount Police Department. People just losing their good ass. Again, I'm just salt mining. I'm just showing you all the people who have lost their good ass job because they want to be stupid. My goodness. All right, so let's get into this news story. Two off-duty police officers from Virginia who were photographed in front of a statue inside the U.S. Capitol on January 6th were arrested and later released on $15,000 bonds Wednesday. Jacob Fracker and Thomas Robinson, both of whom work for the Rocky Mount Police Department, were each charged with one count of knowingly entering or remaining in any restricted building or grounds without lawful authority and one count of violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds. Both men, who are military veterans, were arrested in Virginia on Tuesday. Later that afternoon, they appeared via Zoom in federal court hearing in Roanoke. Magistrate Judge Robert Bilal ordered that Fracker and Robinson be released on $15,000 unsecured bonds, the Roanoke Times reported. So these two idiots right here, they're two cops. They're cops. So they understand, right, as cops, when you commit a crime, you should wear a mask. They understand as cops, when you commit a crime, right, you wear a mask. These two men who you see in this photograph are police officers. They're police officers who are not wearing masks while committing a crime. Now, you might find that to be very, very exceptional. I do too. I think it's incredibly exceptional. I think it's, oh my God, I don't have any words for it. How is it that you go after criminals every day, but you don't have the sense to wear a mask? And then on top of that, right, you're off duty, right? I understand you're off duty, but I keep hearing these stories about how even off duty cops are being heroes. Well, apparently that's not the case with these two, right? Right? Oh my God! Apparently that's not the case with these two. Let's move on. In a statement obtained by the Times on Tuesday evening, Fracker defended his actions at the Capitol as an expression of grief against what very many Americans would consider tyranny. My entire adult life has been dedicated to protecting my fellow Americans. I've never once cared about skin color, religion, political views, sexual orientation, or anything. Americans are Americans. We bleed the same, he wrote. I have fought against terrorists who have threatened our way of life. I put away drug dealers who would have seen our children getting addicted to their product just so they can make a buck. Well, if you're going to go after terrorists and also go after drug dealers who sell drugs to children and get them addicted just to make a buck, then why don't you go after these mega pharmaceutical companies, because they do that about every day. See, former officer Fracker, the one thing that you must understand, like many police officers, is that many people consider you heroes, but a lot of people don't. And the reason why is because of You go after drug dealers who in many cases are victims of crimes themselves, who are just trying to get out of a bad life. It should not be illegal to sell a drug to a consenting adult. Now you did put the preference of children, but you don't arrest people for selling drugs to children in Virginia. That's not the bulk of your drug arrest. Let's be honest here. So stop it, former Officer Fracker. Okay. On the same day, on the same day, a group of pro-Trump rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol. Fracker and Robinson were photographed inside the building in front of a statue of John Stark, according to prosecutors. Fracker is seen making an obscene gesture as Robinson points to Fracker while holding a wooden rod he later identified as an American flagpole. Stark served in the British Army during the French and Indian War, as well as the Continental Army in the American Revolution. A New Hampshire native, he coined the state's motto, "Live free or die." CNN and the left are just mad because we actually attacked the government, who was the problem, and not some random small business. Robertson 47 later wrote in a post on social media, according to the federal criminal complaint. The right in one day took the effing U.S. Capitol. Keep poking us. That's my phone going up. My goodness. So apparently, my man said the right is violent, and that if you keep poking us, it's gonna get worse. That's a officer saying that. He also allegedly stated that he was proud of the photo on an Instagram post that that was shared on Facebook because he was willing to put skin in the game. On Facebook, Fracker29 posted a comment that read, "Laugh out loud to anyone who's possibly concerned about the picture of me going around. Sorry I hate freedom. Not like I did anything illegal. Y'all do what you feel you need to," according to the criminal complaint against him. The post has since been deleted. Both cases are being prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia and the Counterterrorism Section of the Department of Justice's National Security Division, with assistance from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Virginia. God damn. So they're being pursued. They're being investigated by their own department, the Counterterrorism Section of the DOJ, and also the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the FBI and Capitol Police. Boy, God damn. God damn. According to his statement, Fracker said he enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps in 2010 and was deployed to Afghanistan. After being honorably discharged at the rank of corporal, he now serves in the Virginia Army National Guard, and his love for his fellow countrymen has no bounds to go as far as me willingly giving my life for any other person in this country. In 2011, SWBA Today, a local newspaper, published a report explaining how Robinson had attended Ranger School and was trained as a sniper as part of his military experience. The terms of their release agreement Tuesday forbade both men from possessing firearms during the case and required both to stay away from any public assembly, demonstration, or protest until the case is resolved, the Roanoke Times reported. The judge declined the prosecution's request to put GPS tracking on the men, citing the fact that both are police officers and military veterans. In interviews with local media outlets, Robinson has maintained that he and Fracker did not break the law and that the selfie was taken after rioters were actually removed from the building. He claims that they were escorted in by U.S. Capitol Police officers and handed water bottles and asked to stay in also asked to stay in a roped-off area. Fracker and Robinson have been on administrative leave since Sunday when the Rocky Mount Police Department first notified federal authorities about the officers' about their presence at the Capitol on January 6th. The town of Rocky Mount said in its own statement, Fracker is a K-9 unit officer who has worked for the department since 2017, Robinson is his platoon sergeant. God, losing their good, you know what, man? These folks out here losing their good ass jobs. God damn. Isn't this shit crazy? Let's move on. Capitol Hill rider seen climbing down Senate balcony apologizes again. Joshua Colt says he does not condone the violence. Oh my God. My man was hanging from the balcony, yo. That's how you know this man had some mental problems. My man was hanging from the balcony. He says, I'm sorry, y'all. Let's get into the story from Fox News, man. This is just too. You know what, man? I'm just enjoying the deliciousness. Oh man, my goodness. The Idaho man photographed last week climbing down from the Senate balcony during the Capitol Hill riot is once again apologizing for his actions following his release from jail ahead of his release from jail ahead of trial. Joshua Colt, a 34-year-old man from Boise, Idaho, was charged with knowingly entering or remaining in any restricted building or grounds without lawful authority and violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds, according to the Justice Department. My goodness. Colt turned himself in to the FBI in Idaho earlier this week and was released Wednesday pending he follows a list of pretrial requirements, KTVB reports. So here, let me go take a look at this man real quick. He's hanging from the balcony, right? Look at this. What possible excuse do you have from this? He's in the Senate chamber hanging from a balcony. What possible excuse do you have for this? What can you say to a judge? You know, Your Honor, I'm a good boy. I was just, it's just every day that I'm hanging from the Senate balcony. It's just every day I'm hanging from the Senate balcony. You know what I mean? It's a regular activity. Me and my family, we make a freaking day of it. We all go down to the Senate floor and we just hang from the freaking balcony. Oh my God. That is just too precious. That is just too precious. So the man right here, he says this is a statement from our boy Colt here. I didn't hurt anybody, didn't take anything, didn't break anything, Colt told the station after walking out of the Ada County jail. My intention was just to go there to have my voice heard. I do love America. Like I said, I apologize. I do not condone the violence that happened there. It is tragic. It breaks my heart about what that turned into. It's tragic. You want to have your voice heard by hanging from the Senate balcony. Oh, they heard you all right. Oh no, don't you worry. You will be heard in court. Oh no, don't you worry. They will hear you in court. Oh, plenty of people are going to hear you in court. Colt added, he just wanted my voice heard about having fair elections. And yeah, it turned into something that really tragic and that I did not want to happen at all. The station reports that Colt could be sentenced up to a year in prison if convicted on the knowingly entering or remaining charge, while the other charge carries a potential 6-month punishment. Fox News' calls to Colt remain unanswered on Thursday. The pretrial conditions Colt must abide by include location monitoring, not being allowed to possess a firearm or destructive device, a prohibition on consuming alcohol or going to bars, and for him to not travel outside of Idaho without permission, KTVB reports. Colt's next court appearance is on January 19th. Damn, so you can't buy guns, you can't consume alcohol, you can't go out to a bar, you can't travel outside of Idaho without permission, like you a child. Man, and on top of that, there is GPS monitoring, location monitoring. That means that he's on GPS. God damn. Well, play stupid games, right? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Man, oh man. All right, so here we go. Ex-Texas mayoral candidate arrested in U.S. Capitol riots, seen smiling after court appearance. Jenny Cudd allegedly posted a video on Facebook boasting about her involvement. Oh my God! So this is originally from the New York Post. Post this in the chat. That way you guys have a link to it. Make sure everything appears just fine on every channel. There we go. All right. Let's go ahead and get to the story. Ex-Texas mayoral candidate arrested in U.S. Capitol riots, seen smiling after court appearance. Ooh, this one, you can tell this one here is going to be precious. This one here is going to be exceptional. It's going to be precious. Precious. Just precious. Just wonderful. Here we go. The one-time Texas mayoral candidate who bragged about tearing down House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office door during last week's storming of the U.S. Capitol was all smiles following her court appearance Wednesday. Jenny Cudd was pictured beaming from ear to ear as she left a Midland courthouse, where she appeared before U.S. Magistrate Judge Ronald Griffin on charges of entering a restricted building and disorderly conduct, the Midland Reporter Telegram reported. Cudd, who now owns a flower shop, was taken into custody earlier Wednesday along with another rider, Elio Rosa, in connection with the January 6th insurrection, said Darrell Fields, a spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Antonio. Look at it. Look at that smile. She's like, haha, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did it. And what y'all gonna do about it? A lot, actually. They're gonna do a lot about it, actually. After the siege, Cudd posted a video on Facebook laughing about her involvement and boasting that we did break down Nancy Pelosi's office door and stole her gavel. But in a video message to the Associated Press, Cudd claimed she did not personally go into Pelosi's office or see people break down the door. The we in her message referred to everyone at the Capitol, she claimed. I walked through an open door into the Capitol along with several hundred other people, she said. Now she's trying to dial it back. Because you realize the problem. You came outside smiling. You know, that wasn't no happy smile. That was a nervous smile, baby. And knows this. She's not wearing a mask. Knows how many people in that picture is just not wearing a doggone mask. And she's holding the phone and draped in the Trump mask, so in the freaking Trump flag. So you can't say that woman is freaking Antifa. You know, so many people are saying, oh, it's freaking Antifa. Oh, it's a freaking false flag. That's not Antifa. Okay. She insisted she personally did not do anything violent or destroy property. She's basically just been charged with being there, said her attorney, Don Flannery. She did not break into Nancy Pelosi's office. She didn't go anywhere inside or near it. We're pretty confident that the cameras will show she was only in the public portions of the Capitol, he added. That's still a crime, sir. Who cares where she was? She was not supposed to be there. That's the point. Oh my God. That's the point. You're not supposed to be there. Wow. Breaking news. Breaking news. Snapchat to permanently terminate Trump's account following Capitol riots. So this has been updated, published 14 hours ago. The last update is 4 hours ago. So here we go. It's been in the chat for you guys too. From Fox. Snapchat to permanently terminate Trump's account following Capitol riots. Trump on Wednesday released a video denouncing last week's riots. All right, so let's get into the story. Following an indefinite suspension of President Trump's account last week, Snapchat announced Wednesday that its decision is permanent. In the interest of public safety and based on his attempts to spread misinformation, hate speech, and incite violence, which was clear violations of our guidelines, we have made the decision to permanently terminate his account, a Snapchat spokesperson told Fox News. The social media platform said it had assessed what long-term action is in the best interest of our Snapchat community following the riot at the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters on January 6th. Snapchat first took action against President Trump in June when it stopped promoting the president's account on its Discovery platform. On its Discover platform, limiting its reach to subscribers and those who search for him. All right, so that is really, really interesting. So let's get into some other news stories. New York Attorney General Letitia James to sue for federal oversight of NYPD over protest response. All right. This is published 3 hours ago. That girl in New York, the Attorney General, she is not playing. She do not play no games. That girl, she been taking everybody to court. She ain't been playing. New York Attorney General Letitia James will file a lawsuit Thursday calling for federal oversight of the NYPD in the wake of the department's use of excessive enforcement during the recent Black Lives Matter protests. James's office has been probing the NYPD's response to the rampant demonstrations over the summer, including in a preliminary report in July that the department should be overhauled. While our investigation remains ongoing, hold on, advertisement here, close out. While our investigation remains ongoing, after 30 days of intense scrutiny, it is impossible to deny that many New Yorkers have lost faith in law enforcement, James said in a statement at the time. We must bridge the undeniable divide between the police and the public, and this preliminary report and the recommendations included is an important step forward. The impending lawsuit was first reported by NY1. So again, she is talking about the NYPD and how they've been going hard on people over the summer, but was that really necessary? Let's go back here. All right, so your boy Kyle Rittenhouse is back in trouble. Your boy Kyle Rittenhouse is back in trouble. Your Kyle boy Rittenhouse is back in trouble. Make sure you hit like button, hit like button, hit share button, let people know that I run this podcast, guy. If you want to participate in the show, the number to call is 253-203-6784. Again, the number to call is 253-203-6784. Join my Discord chat. That way, if you don't have a phone, you can still participate in the show. Anyways, guys, let's move on. Prosecutors seek to change Kyle Rittenhouse release terms, keep him away from bars, Proud Boy members. Teen faces 2 homicide charges, allegedly flashed white power gestures while in a bar after his court arraignment. Oh my God, so he's a white supremacist too. Prosecutors in Wisconsin filed a motion Wednesday asking the judge to forbid Kyle Rittenhouse from drinking alcohol or entering bars, flashing white supremacist signs, and spending time with Proud Boys members while on release on a $2 million bond for allegedly killing 2 people and wounding a third in Kenosha during violent anti-police protests last summer. The Kenosha County District Attorney's Office put in a request that the terms of his bond agreement be altered on Wednesday, just over a week after Rittenhouse from Antioch, Illinois, pleaded not guilty to homicide and other charges connected to the August 25th shooting in Kenosha. I apologize for that little verbal typo there. That was just, I don't know why I just got hung up there. About an hour and a half after his arraignment on January 5th, Rittenhouse, 18, who was accompanied by his mother, Wendy Rittenhouse, and several other adults, arrived at a bar called Pudgy's Pub in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, wearing a shirt that read "Free as fuck," according to a copy of the motion obtained by Fox News. Rittenhouse posed for photos and flashed the OK sign, which has been co-opted as a sign of white power by known white supremacist groups, the motion states. He also would serve and drank 3 beers during the 90-minute period he was inside the bar, which is legal because Wisconsin state law allows adults under the age of 21 to drink alcohol in bars if accompanied by a parent. Oh my gosh. So you drinking with your boy. All right, cool. Within a few minutes of entering the bar, Rittenhouse was loudly serenaded by 5 of the adult males in his group with the song "Proud of Your Boy" and obscure song written for the 1992 Disney film Aladdin, the motion said. Prosecutors argued that the violent white supremacist group called the Proud Boys was named after this song, which is sung by its members as an anthem for self-identification. The Proud Boys have been involved in several extremist rallies and movements, and multiple Proud Boys members have been arrested for various assaultive crimes. Indeed, members of the Proud Boys groups have been tied to the breach of the U.S. Capitol building on January 6, 2021, and at least one of their leaders have been arrested and charged in connection with the event, the motion reads. Ooh. Your boy Kyle Rittenhouse, it looks like he might be going down, man. Because first of all, that freaking homicide charge, I mean, that he's not getting out of that. I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, he's probably gonna go down for that. But this, adding this to it, that just makes it even worse. All right. So here's another. In the wake of Capitol riot, feds warned that violent extremists likely pose greatest domestic terrorism threats. Bulletin describes how events of January 6th will very likely serve as an enduring driver for violence. Published 6 hours ago by Stephanie Pagones from Fox News. Give you a link to this in the chat. I'm going to repost that again because it didn't go over to Twitch. All right, there we go. So the link is good. All right, so you guys want to call in, again, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. But until then, let's get into the article here. Violent extremist activity will likely surge in the U.S. and pose the greatest domestic terrorism threat in 2021, a trio of federal law enforcement agencies warned in a recently released bulletin. I want to get you a link to that bulletin because I want to, in fact, we're going to go over that bulletin. I'll post this in the chat. Here's a link to an FBI bulletin about what's going to happen going forward. That they're saying that domestic terrorism is going to become a thing. It's going to be crazy. A second. The FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and the National Counterterrorism Center announced in a joint intelligence bulletin released Wednesday that this threat comes from the anti-government or anti-authority violent extremists such as militia violent extremists, MVEs, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, and domestic violent extremists, citing partisan political grievances. The document was first obtained and published by Yahoo News. Wow. So it says here, in 2021, threats and plotting of illegal activity, including destruction of property and violence targeting officials at all levels of the government, law enforcement, journalists, and infrastructure, as well as sporadic violence surrounding lawful protests, rallies, demonstrations, and other gatherings by domestic violent extremists, will very likely increase due to renewed measures to mitigate and spread the the spread of COVID-19, socio-political conditions, and perceived government overreach, the bulletin states. It's not perceived government overreach. It's definitely some government overreach. I just don't want there to be violence. But yeah, that's definitely some government overreach. But I don't think that necessarily explains the terrorism that we're seeing here. All right. The memo was released in the wake of last week's attack on Capitol Hill. On January 6th, hundreds of apparent Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol building, some armed with guns or zip ties, where they smashed or dismantled property and went into House and Senate chambers, and also the leaders of those chambers. They also went into Nancy Pelosi's chamber. I mean, it was crazy. Meanwhile, Hill staffers and lawmakers were under lockdown or hid behind chairs or under desks and tables. 5 people, including a U.S. Capitol police officer, died during or in connection to Wednesday's events. Also, another police officer who has committed suicide. The bulletin further describes how the events on January 6th will very likely serve as an enduring driver for violence by a range of domestic violent extremists. Oh, man. The siege and the subsequent deaths of those involved very likely will serve to galvanize domestic violent extremists and increase collaboration between the other extremists, the document states. The extremists may also perceive the event as a step forward and as a step toward achieving their initiatives, and consider the death of a perceived like-minded individual as an act of martyrdom. They sound just like ISIS. This sounds like the mindset of a suicide bomber. This sounds like the mindset of a damn suicide bomber. This is how a suicide bomber would actually think. This is how a suicide bomber thinks. I'm going to read this final sentence. And again, the extremists may also perceive the event as a step forward, achieving The extremists may also perceive the event as a step toward achieving their initiatives, and consider the death of a perceived like-minded individual as an act of martyrdom. Really? This sounds like ISIS, bro. That's how ISIS thinks. I mean, I know that's how the freaking Taliban thinks because I fought the damn Taliban, so I know how they think. I've done battle with these people. That's how a fucking suicide bomber thinks. Think about that for a second. Think about that. We have reached a point where if someone who takes a political action or engages in terrorism dies, there are groups of people out there who will consider them martyrs, and yet we criticize the Middle East for this long for freaking suicide bombers. It's the same mindset. It's the same crazy, conspiratorial, psycho, ultra religious, freaking cultish mindset. It's psychotic, people. Let's move on here. This here is a copy of the Joint Intelligence Bulletin released on January 13th. So here, DVE's domestic violent terrorists. That's what that stands for. This Joint Intelligence Bulletin, or JIB, is intended to highlight the threat of violence from domestic violent extremists, or DVEs, in the wake of the January 6th violent breach by some DVEs of the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C., following lawful protest activity related to the results of the general election. Anti-government or anti-authority violent extremists, specifically militia violent extremists, or MVEs, racial or ethnically motivated violent extremists, and DVEs, citing partisan political grievances, will very likely pose the greatest domestic terrorism threats in 2021. In 2021, threats and plotting of illegal activity, including the destruction of property and violence, the targeting of officials at all government levels, law enforcement, journalists, and infrastructure, as well as sporadic violence surrounding lawful protests, rallies, demonstrations, and other gatherings by DVEs will very likely increase due to the renewed measures to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, socio-political conditions, and perceived government overreach. The FBI, DHS, and NCTC advise federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial government, counterterrorism, and law enforcement officials and private sector security partners to remain vigilant in the light of the persistent threat posed by DVEs and their unpredictable target selection in order to effectively detect, prevent, preempt, or respond to incidents and terrorist attacks in the U.S. So once again, this is a joint bulletin statement from the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and also the Department of Counterterrorism. So again, you got a joint statement here, and that's just the fact that they are telling you to expect this activity to increase. They've already named the groups, so you're going to see an increase in this activity. This is going to be something that's going to be ongoing. You're going to see this throughout the year. You're going to see this throughout the year and beyond. You guys wanted a civil war? You're going to see it. I think there's going to be one. Except it's not going to turn out the way that these idiots think it's going to turn out. They're going to bring violence and they're going to get put down. Every last one of them. Every last one of them. They're going to get put down. So we're going to go over to YouTube real quick. So there's a video I want to watch. All right. Where is that video on trending? So I want you guys to see this right here. So this is the from the Hill, and they're showing how National Guard troops are. In fact, you know what? I'm going to show it from actually from Fox News. There are troops sleeping on the ground because they have to come here to try to come to the U.S. Capitol to protect the people from violent people who want to overtake the freaking country. So let's go ahead and watch this news report.
National Security Council under President George W. Bush, and he joins us now. Michael, good morning to you and welcome. You have spent... Let's bring in Michael Allen, Managing Director of Beacon Global Strategies. He's also served on the National Security Council under President George W. Bush, and he joins us now. Michael, good morning to you and welcome. You have spent your career in the national security arena. You see what's happening next week. You see the preparations underway. Do you believe it is possible to secure the Capitol on Inauguration Day based on the events last week?
Definitely. I know that the U.S. Secret Service, as they've declared this a national security special event, have this locked down. I'm very confident that they and the National Guard and the FBI and the Capitol Police and others will be able to put out sufficient numbers of people and guards and the rest. Look, I think what they're doing now is that they are over-preparing. They're sending a message of deterrence to would-be demonstrators or people that want to make more trouble like they did on the Capitol last week to say, listen, if you tried to even come here, it would be fruitless, so don't come.
We see these preparations underway. We see the video right now as you're talking of the troops that have been deployed to the Capitol. It's quite a scene when you see that, Michael. And it certainly sends a message to the world as to what we're seeing happen here at home, what happened last week, and what needs to be done, apparently, to secure the Capitol.
Yeah, I don't love the image that we have to be a lockdown military camp like the Green Zone in Baghdad in order to have an inauguration here. I understand where they're coming from because of the events of last week. And like I said, I do think they're trying to send a message of deterrence. But it does concern me that it looks like that we are an armed army camp here.
Really interesting. Michael, Chad Wolf, as we just mentioned, the former DHS secretary who just resigned from the Trump administration, joined us last hour, and he was calling on leadership to call for peace on all levels by both Biden and Trump. Listen.
As we look back at the events of last week, I think certainly the president's words matter, and I think I've said that publicly on several occasions now. But obviously the individuals that stormed the Capitol, the rioters, the criminals that did that, obviously have a lot of blame for their actions themselves.
Michael, how important is it to hear from leadership, whether it's the current President Trump, the incoming President Joe Biden, to put a message out there of calm and call for peace on Inauguration Day?
It's critically important to send that message from all of the national leadership. Every little bit helps. Every little bit, I think, would dissuade would-be protesters or demonstrators or troublemakers from coming to town. I think it's critical. I'm glad President Trump put out the statement that he did yesterday. I hope there's more to come on that front. We really just need to send a message that this is not the United States of America. Free protest is absolutely fine, but we can't have the type of violence we saw. You know, by the way, last week, all the news about the storming of the Capitol, we haven't been able to talk as much about the pipe bombs that were set near the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee here in Washington. Yeah. So that is an unacceptable level of violence, and we all need to speak against it.
You know, there's also these reports of some of these extremists using these encrypted chat messaging rooms to try to encourage gathering or protests or whatever it may be, riots. We just don't know. You tell us what it is that we're hearing on that front. How do you protect against that? Wow. As we now see the FBI is warning police departments at the local levels across the country now that prepare, because this violence could come to a place near you.
That question is on point. The FBI has been warning, at least for the last decade, that encrypted apps, WhatsApp, and the rest of the things that we all use, that they are unable to get a warrant, even if they have probable cause, to try and check out a terrorist or child molesters and the like on that. This is one of these dilemmas that Congress is going to have to solve. How can those of us who are free law-abiding citizens communicate, but at the same time, how can law enforcement be able to eavesdrop where they need to and where they have probable cause so that we could nip future crimes in the bud? And this is just an issue that Congress has ignored, and we've got to get to it. It's called ubiquitous encryption, and we really need to get moving on it as a country.
We hear the urgency from you. Michael Allen, thanks for joining us this morning.
So I want to look up some pictures of National Guard DC, man. You know, I want to also cover a story from NPR, but I want to look up some of these freaking photos, man. I want to see this. I mean, it looks like they're going to war. It looks like they're going to war, man. I've been to war. I'm telling you, it looks like they're going to war. Jesus. It looks like they're going to battle. It looks like they've just landed in a foreign country, and they're getting ready to doggone fight. I mean, it looks like we are in a field of battle right now. It looks like we are in a field of battle right now. This is, I don't think people realize what the images that you're seeing here. This could be the start of the freaking Civil War. When it starts getting like this, man, when you have to have soldiers occupy an area, sleep on the ground, sleep on cots, to occupy your own soil because you're scared of violence. You're scared of violence in all 50 states. The FBI the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, just released a freaking joint statement. A joint statement saying that this stuff is going to increase. We know it is. No, we're not telling you that is probably going to increase. No. They say it's very likely to increase. They're pretty much guaranteeing it. I want you to go and get this piece right here by NPR. About 20,000 National Guard members to deploy for inauguration, officials say. Published on January 13th, which is yesterday. Go and give you a link to that article in the chat. All right, you got a link in the article in the chat. Let's go back here. About 20,000 National Guard members to deploy for inauguration, officials say. Written by Braxton Booker for NPR. I mean, look at this, man. They've got their freaking M4s. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they have ammo. They got their full battle rattle. Do you not know what you're looking at? This looks insane to me. Like, I honestly don't think the American people are truly comprehending the levels of insanity we have reached. Local and federal security officials expect about 20,000 National Guard members to be involved in security in Washington, D.C. for President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration next week. I think you could expect to see somewhere upwards of beyond 20,000 members of the National Guard that will be here in the footprint of the District of Columbia, Washington Metropolitan Police Chief Robert Conte said on Wednesday. It represents an uptick in National Guard troops that will be deployed to the area. Army Times reported earlier this week that the Pentagon had authorized 15,000 National Guard members to be sent to the district for the inauguration. Conte said the inauguration has been designated as a national special security event, adding the final numbers of troops would come from the Secret Service and leaving open the possibility the numbers could fluctuate. The exact number to be deployed is still being worked out by the Secret Service, the lead agency on inauguration security, and others, a U.S. official told NPR's Pentagon reporter Tom Bowman. The official, who requested anonymity because they were not authorized to speak to reporters, said the number of National Guard members to be deployed is up to 20,000. The troops will be coming from nearly all states, Bowman reported, adding that only those who have either military, police, or law enforcement experience will be armed. Others will have to the other soldiers will have access to their weapons but not carry them, and it remains unclear where the troops will deploy at the U.S. Capitol, according to the U.S. official. President Trump issued a statement Wednesday urging supporters to commit no violence, citing unspecified reports of future demonstrations. In light of the reports of more demonstrations, I urge that there be no violence, no law-breaking, and no vandalism of any kind, Trump said. This is not what I stand for, and it is not what America stands for. I call on all Americans to help ease tensions and calm tempers. Thank you. Maybe you should do that, sir. Presidential inaugurations are always massive security operations, but Biden's inauguration on January 20th is facing heightened security concerns following last week's breach of the U.S. Capitol that left 5 people dead, including a Capitol police officer. These security moves comes as the House of Representatives voted Wednesday to impeach President Trump a second time. The resolution charged him with incitement of insurrection. National Guard troops are already patrolling the hallways of Congress, some carrying military assault rifles. It was a startling reminder that just a week ago, rioters attacked the building, overrunning Capitol Police in an attempt to block lawmakers from confirming Biden's Electoral College victory. So once again, I mean, it's an NPR report, and you can see that our soldiers are being lined up here, man. I'm gonna tell you, when I first went to Kandahar, Afghanistan, the first night in there, we were not in a nice marble building, but to line up and getting your weapons ready and getting your gear and your vest ready and everything else, your freaking full battle rattle, it looked just like this. I'm gonna tell you, it looked just like this. That's scary, man. It is scary that on our soil, our troops have to occupy a building just to keep people safe. That's scary to me. In fact, I wanted to look that up. I want to see another video of that because I saw this video earlier. The Fox News one that we just saw is not the one that I want to see. National Guard sent to D.C. See, there's this one I saw that was really, really good. Let's go here.
Tonight, much of the nation's capital is locked down with a huge security presence, with authorities very concerned about new threats of violence. We get more now from CBS's Chris Van Cleve.
Tonight, 2,000 National Guard troops are securing the Capitol, inside the Grand Halls and outside along the perimeter. Some armed and authorized to defend themselves, a striking image reminiscent of the Civil War. Up to 20,000 could be deployed to protect Washington, D.C. a week ahead of Joe Biden's inauguration, nearly 4 times as many troops as are currently in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Defense Department is warning the threat level for violence is very high. Concerned it could come as soon as today. How real do we think the concern is?
I do think it's real, but I think oftentimes law enforcement is put in a position that, regardless of if it's unverified, in the wake of the events of last week, they've got to take these threats seriously.
CBS News has learned the mounting concern is based on a flood of raw intelligence, including unverified reports extremists may be monitoring police movements and potentially heavily armed groups intend to disrupt D.C. Targets could include bridges leading into the city and trains. Air marshals are being deployed to more flights into D.C., and major airports across the country are increasing security measures like upping police presence. Across town, Washington looks to be bracing for a hurricane, buildings boarding up. Additional security barriers have been added outside of the vice president's residence. Fencing and roadblocks are already in place as security ramps to the maximum ahead of the inauguration.
We have asked Americans not to come to the Washington, D.C. event, but instead to participate virtually. And we know that is the right choice and the best way to keep everyone safe.
After that message from D.C.'s mayor, Airbnb announced it was canceling reservations for stays in the D.C. area during the inauguration. Here at the Capitol tonight, it is armed National Guard on patrol. And this isn't the only fence intended to keep people back. If you go another block up the street past the military vehicles here, you'll hit another blockade, another barricade, fence line, more police, more National Guard. Nora?
This city is shut down. Chris Van Cleve, thank you.
That is insane, bro. That is insane. That looks like a freaking military checkpoint that you got to set up now because MAGA has lost their mind. I mean, I don't think people realize how crazy this looks to the world. I don't think people realize how crazy this looks to the world. You know, I don't think people realize, especially in like America, how it looks to have this happen. I don't think people are quite comprehending how we appear to the rest of the world, man. We look insane right now. We have to activate our National Guard. 15,000 National Guard troops. Are you sick? Let me go ahead and go to this Fox News report here.
Meantime, new developments on last week's riot at the Capitol. Federal authorities announcing more than 170 people were charged in connection with the violence. Investigators say these arrests are just the beginning.
I think the scope and scale of this investigation in these cases are really unprecedented, not only in FBI history, but probably DOJ history, in which essentially the Capitol grounds outside and inside are essentially a crime scene. We're going to have, I believe, hundreds of criminal cases.
The FBI says its appeal to the public led to more than 100,000 pieces of digital evidence that agents are now examining. Meantime, the Pentagon is working to secure the Capitol ahead of President-elect Biden's inauguration 1 week from today, deploying as many as 15,000 armed National Guard troops to Washington as Acting Attorney General Jeff Rosen issues a stern warning overnight about the possibility of more violence.
The Department of Justice will seek to hold any violators accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Any wrongdoers will be caught, and they will be accountable.
National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin live for us on Capitol Hill. Jennifer, good morning to you. What is security like at the Capitol today?
Well, Trace, we just saw dozens of National Guard walking the perimeter around the Capitol. You see that fence behind me. We can't even get close enough to show you all of the National Guard on Capitol Hill. The scene very different from what it was exactly a week ago. It looks a lot more like the Green Zone in Baghdad than it did like last week when you could walk right up to the Capitol. That is no longer. The roads are blocked, as John Roberts report. They will be.
I told you. Did you hear what she just said? It looks like the streets of damn Baghdad. I told you, it looks like a damn combat zone.
I mean, we can't even get close enough to show you all of the National Guard on Capitol Hill. The scene very different from what it was exactly a week ago. It looks a lot more like the Green Zone in Baghdad than it did like last week when you could walk right up to the Capitol. That is no longer. The roads are blocked, as John Roberts report. They will be more and more blocked as the days go on closer to the inauguration. As you mentioned, there are 15,000 National Guard who have been mobilized and called up, brought to the city. Some of them even slept in the Capitol with their weapons last night. I can confirm after speaking with senior military officials this morning that the acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller has delegated authorities to the Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy to command and control these forces. Another change from last week, Secretary McCarthy has authorized these troops to be armed. In a rare statement sent out to the entire U.S. military, all 8 members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff signed a letter to the force condemning the Capitol insurrection last week and warned service members not to do anything to impede President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. Quote, the violent riot in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021 was a direct assault on the U.S. Congress, the Capitol building, and our constitutional process. We witnessed actions inside the Capitol building that were inconsistent with the rule of law. The rights of freedom of speech and assembly do not give anyone the right to resort to violence, sedition, and insurrection. That's signed by General Mark Milley and the rest of the Joint Chiefs. Attorney General Jeff Rosen went further.
We will have no tolerance whatsoever for any attempts to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power on January 20th. There will be no excuse for violence, vandalism, or any other form of lawlessness.
There are about 2,000 National Guard on Capitol Hill as we speak. More and more will be coming into the city this weekend. The threat level, we're told by defense officials, is much higher than is even being reported in the press right now. Back to you.
Wow. So, I want you to understand something. If you're watching this podcast, guys, the threat level, because again, I told you, based on what I'm seeing here, you remember how I said about like an hour ago, this looks like Baghdad? This looks like a freaking combat zone? That this is going to be the staging ground for a damn civil war? The woman just told you that. It looks like the staging ground for damn Baghdad. I've been there. I'm telling you, it looks just like it. It looks just like it. I mean, it looks like the freaking Green Zone. And honestly, if you look behind her, like, look behind her, right? You see that little gated area there? You got a little blockade. That's called an entry control point, or ECP. I used to work on those when I was I used to work on one of those in one of my deployments, ECP-4 in Kandahar, Afghanistan. And pretty much what you would do is you set up these freaking gates, and a little bit back towards it, you set up these giant blocks. Basically, these giant roadblocks, and you stagger them out, one to the right, one to the left, and then one to the right again. And you stagger them out so that when someone drives forward, they have to kind of like zigzag in You know, so basically no one could just like basically rush the gate. They got to zigzag in so that even if they blow up, they're gonna blow up probably within that area, and you can still contain that particular explosion. Whereas, you know, you don't want somebody to get a vehicle and be able to drive straight to the U.S. Capitol. You want to offer as much resistance as much resistance as possible, and that's what I'm seeing here. That's what I'm seeing here. So when I start seeing barricades like that set up just like that, when I start seeing that many troops, when I start seeing full battle rattle, when I see the Joint Chiefs authorize deadly force on U.S. grounds, deadly force that quickly on U.S. grounds, no, this is a lot more serious than what the media is telling you. We are in the hot phase of this ground war. That's what I'm going to start calling it going forward. We are in the hot phase. Tell all your friends you are officially in the hot phase. When you start seeing stuff set up like this, it's no longer a freaking game. It's no longer a game. I'm telling you, you know, I've had people who were in the freaking military. It's like, oh well, that's not. Most of the people saying that shit have never kicked indoors. They sat on the fob the entire goddamn time. They have no clue what the fuck they are fucking talking about. Take it from me. When you see stuff like this, start worrying. See, a lot of these stupid memers, these intellectual heavyweights, these I'm a smart guy because I can troll you and I can call for my troll. Now, those guys, they've never fired a freaking round at somebody or had a round fired at them. A bunch of bitches, basically. And so they'll talk shit to people like me who's been there and done that. Been there and fucking done that. When I tell you you are not ready for this shit, you're not fucking ready for this shit. See, all those people who stormed the Capitol, they thought they were ready for that shit. They ass getting locked up one by one. You only took out 2 cops. They done arrested hundreds of y'all motherfuckers. Motherfuckers getting fired. Stepping down from their jobs. You had a politician had to freaking resign. So right now, the authorities is kicking ass right about them now, and they're not even showing you a portion of their power. They're only flexing a little bit. They're showing you their power now. They brought soldiers there. Them boys got M4. They got better weapons, better equipment. They got all that stuff. They brought up armored vehicles. They got MRAPs there. They got armored Hummers there. Oh, you know they brought freaking aircraft. You know they brought freaking aircraft. They got helicopters there. So I'm going to tell you, if you plan on going down there, I would strongly advise you don't do that. Strongly advise you don't do that. Because the kind of rounds that the military is authorized to use, it's a lot difficult for you to make or even get the material. But they can make that shit in bulk. You know, incendiary rounds, tracer rounds. I don't know if a terrorist has ever been hit with a freaking tracer round. But let me go ahead and tell you. Tracer rounds, they're the ones that light green or sometimes light red. It depends on what type of round that you're using. But the point of that is to see where the round's going. See where the round's landing at nighttime or in low visibility. Because tracer rounds will always allow you to see that. The problem with tracer rounds, though, is that they're also partially incendiary rounds, because the way that they light up, it incinerates. It basically causes a fire. Because we've had many times we've had to actually call out the freaking fire department to the range when we're firing because people kept firing tracers. Well, those military people out there, those soldiers out there who are lined up, all of them got tracers. In fact, I think every 3rd or 4th round in your magazine is actually a tracer. Unless they didn't properly load the magazines, and actually there is a regulation for properly loading your magazine. But yeah, as you can see here, guys, things are getting real. We are in the hot phase of this ground war. We are officially in a civil war. I think so. People are gonna laugh when I say that. Let me go ahead and tell you, I've seen a lot of stuff in my life, man. I spent more than 10 years of my adult life in the freaking military. I've done all this work. I've done military police work. I've done ECP work. I've done law enforcement. I've worked corrections. So I went to the criminal justice, the freaking criminal justice academy. I'm telling you, I have a lot of experience, and I'm telling you, this is the opening for the hot ground war. We're going to see a prolonged conflict, a prolonged armed bloody conflict that's going to last probably throughout the freaking year. A lot of people are going to get killed. It's mostly going to be a bunch of bad guys, and unfortunately, in southern states and in some other states, you're going to see a lot of violence and a lot of uprising and unrest. Mainly, what you're going to see is a lot of increased incidents of targeting of racial minorities. I told certain people in South Carolina it'd be a good idea to go ahead and freaking move now. In parts of Georgia, you should be safe, because if you go to Atlanta or freaking either Atlanta or College Park or Decatur, or you go to DeKalb County, you should be fine. There's too many black people there for these people to start anything. But if you're in the South, you're in South Carolina, you're in like Tennessee, Mississippi, Kansas, places like that, real hick places, places like West Virginia, I would seriously suggest maybe taking a vacation for the next week. And I'm not even joking you. I'm not even kidding with you. Let me go ahead and tell you, in 2010, when I was deploying to Afghanistan, before I got to Afghanistan, we landed in this place called this little small country in Asia called Kyrgyzstan, and there's a city in Kyrgyzstan called Manas. And when I tell you that at night I could hear popping sounds where I thought it was the Marines, on the freaking range. I could hear the sounds, and I'm thinking, oh man, these freaking Marines are going crazy. The next morning, I talked to my platoon sergeant, and coming to find out, that was actually a fucking ethnic cleansing. People were being murdered because they just looked different. In fact, if you give me a second, I can look it up for you. I can show it to you. I had no idea that we had landed in the middle of a fucking ethnic cleansing. Seriously. So I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of stuff, and I'm telling you, this is the staging ground for something that that you don't want to see. You're gonna see violence on levels. In fact, in the chat right now, I'm posting the link to that 2010 event to kind of show you that I didn't just make that up. No, it's in the chat. You can see it. There was we had landed right in the middle of that, and we were instructed to not interfere. Can't do anything about it. Don't say anything about it. Doesn't matter if you see somebody get murdered. Doesn't matter if you see a kid get fucking murdered. Don't say anything about it. It's not your country. You can't do anything about it. That's some of the things. That's one of the scenarios that keeps me up at nighttime. That's one of the ones that keeps me up at night. Just thinking about that one. So, but anyways, I want you guys to understand what we're in right now. We are in the hot phase. We're in the hot phase. When you have political violence on this level, and when you have National Guard already authorized, and they're authorized, not only authorized to attend a protest, but was immediately authorized to use deadly force. Every soldier there has a weapon. A lot of times when they deploy soldiers, a lot of times they don't even come with like weapons. That time, every one of them came with a weapon, and those with law enforcement experience were armed with live ammunition. And if they properly load their magazines like they are supposed to, They've got tracer rounds in those bitches, and some of the rounds that they are using are armor piercing rounds, like the kind of rounds that because they got two choices now. They can go the regular 223 or 5.56 rounds, and they can go with basically the green tip ones, or they can go with the silver tip ones. Silver tip ones, those are armor piercing. Those go through steel. Yep, those are the ones that I carried when I was downrange. Those go through steel. Those eat through steel like it's nobody's business. So I want you to understand, when the government has authorized that level of force, dude. And also, I've talked to some people who are in the military, because I live in an area now where I live near a military post. So a lot of people in the military and a lot of people who have been activated, who have been sent down there since the past week, I've talked to them before that they even left. And the one thing that they've made clear is that, man, the way that our commanders are talking about this, they're talking about this like it's about to be a freaking actual civil war. That's why they call in the army. Why else would you call in the freaking army? Why else would you activate 15,000 troops? When's the last time you seen 15,000 troops sent anywhere? I mean, even during natural freaking disasters, you don't usually see that many troops activated. Like hurricanes, Category 5 hurricanes. A lot of times you don't even see states activate that many troops for Category 5 hurricanes, fucking tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, volcanic eruptions. Why would they bring that many troops in for something that isn't the staging ground of a freaking ground war? Let me go ahead and tell you, the troops that they actually brought there, they're going to be there for a while. See, the point of that is called a hunkering position. They understand that they might not leave for a while. They might have to just defend that position. Think about it. Think about it. Why are there people already patrolling the freaking perimeter? Even when the people, the lawmakers aren't even there. Even when you have thousands of troops who are now at the Capitol, people know that now. Troops are already scanning one perimeter. They got an actual inner ring. They got one ring of a big old circle of an actual and actual perimeter. But then with basically on the outside of that ring, they got another ring of it. You only do that because I basically worked on an ECP. I've been deployed multiple times. Let me go ahead and tell you. You only do that when you are prepared for a hot zone. When you are prepared for casualties. That's the only reason why you would do that. That's the only reason why you would do that. And then for the military to put out a joint statement, all joint chiefs of staff, to put out a statement saying, don't participate in this. The fact that the joint chiefs of staff had to actually even put out a statement tells you this is a lot more serious than what you probably think it is. That all the fun and games are over. That all the people who were saying, "Oh, I want to see a civil war. I want to see a boogaloo. I want to see shit hit the freaking fan." You might get your wish. I sat there and I warned people. I said, "Guys, you don't want this action. You don't want that business. I've been there, man. You don't want that." They didn't want to listen. I told them Joe Biden was going to win. They didn't want to listen. I told them they're both Democrats were going to win in freaking Georgia. Republicans didn't want to listen. I told them Donald Trump was going to win in 2016. They didn't want to listen. I told them back a month ago that if the cops kept messing with people, the cops are going to find out the hard way what's going to happen when you keep pushing. In fact, I said it just like that. Said it just like that. A month ago. And what happened at the freaking Capitol? Well, the cops kept pushing. They kept shutting down so many businesses. They kept punishing so many people because of these COVID-19 restrictions, to the point where all the allies on the right, the cops are very, very quickly losing. Because when the militia groups show up to go and fight with our cops and our freaking soldiers, well, the problem is that the only way that those groups would be capable of even doing that is if they have no problem with killing cops. So what changed? What changed from 4 years ago until now? Well, COVID-19 is what changed, and all the restrictions that the cops have been enforcing. That's what changed. And I told police officers for years and years and years, I said, there will come a day where the shield that protects you is gone. Because without a good bit of the right and the hardcore extremists on the right calling for no qualified immunity, without those people around to discourage the dissolution of qualified immunity, for how much longer do you think police officers are going to enjoy qualified immunity? Not for too much longer. Not in this current climate. Not with Democrats controlling the Senate, the House, the White House, and on top of that, even the right not even really being too cool with cops, or at least a good bit of the right at the moment. You still don't think you're in the stage of a freaking ground war when you have it to the point where it's even soldiers who went for Joe Biden in the majority, which is one of the few times you see soldiers go for Democrats in your lifetime. One of the very, very few times. Now you got these people who have no problems with shooting soldiers. They've announced attacks on U.S. military bases. They've announced attacks on Capitol buildings in all 50 states. The FBI Joint Chiefs, Department of Homeland Security, and the DOJ put out a joint statement already. They're already expecting it. In fact, their direct statement was, it is very likely that political violence is going to increase going forward, not just for this year, all right, but going forward. But they definitely said that 2021 is very likely. Otherwise, you don't bring up 15,000 soldiers. You don't arrest hundreds of people. You don't invest billions in resources already. I mean, you understand that so far they've already spent easily $3 billion. Easily. With the amount of resources they talking about, they setting up sniper purchase, helicopters, armored vehicles, troop transport, paying those troops, feeding those troops, providing ammo, body armor, equipment, uniforms, moving thousands of troops. Do you know how expensive it is to move thousands of troops from different states all over the country? That is incredibly expensive. They would not spend that kind of money. They're not spending that kind of money unless they did not expect, unless the federal government did not expect an imminent threat. Right now, our DEFCON level is very, very high. You try to get on a military base right now without showing some damn ID. Try doing some suspicious on a military base right now. Try it. See what happens. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say it's a very bad idea. If you don't want to go to prison, don't want to get locked up indefinitely. So right now, guys, we are in the hot zone, man. We are in, unfortunately, my prediction is correct that before the end of 2021, we will be in a civil war. And unfortunately, I think my prediction is coming true. That we are officially in the shit. So if you have not obtained your firearm thus far, I would say you have maybe another week to get on that. Get a firearm. I would suggest just a simple handgun, something that's easy to carry, something for home defense. If you want just something for home defense, you don't plan on going out a lot, get a shotgun. You got to go on the streets. Maybe consider an AR-15. But right now, guys, I would suggest don't be violent. Stay inside. Don't do anything stupid. But we are in the hot zone of a civil war. Based on the images that I've seen, based on what I've experienced, based on my many years in combat, I can tell you, the Army would not set things up like this. Those barricades, those roadblocks, they would not set things up like this if things hadn't officially gone to that level. When the Joint Chiefs of Staff puts out a memo encouraging their members of the military to not join the protest, that told me a lot. When I see barricades set up and blockades set up in the exact same fashion that me, who worked at an ECP or entry control point in Kandahar, Afghanistan, when it's set up the exact same way that I would set it up. The exact same way. When that woman from Fox News told you it looks like the green zone in damn Iraq, in freaking Baghdad, she wasn't kidding you. It looks exactly like that, bro. I'm not being hyperbolic here. It looks exactly like that. I said that before we even watched that clip, and the woman said exactly what I said. I'm telling you, it looks exactly like the green zone in damn Baghdad. When the army sets shit up like that, they are not only expecting violence, it's pretty much coming. And it's going to spread out into the streets across America. I don't know how we got to this point. I mean, I know how. But there's just so many factors there. It's just I couldn't name it all. But the only thing I would tell you guys is to be safe out there and buy a gun. Because the one thing that normal viewers of my channel have definitely learned is that when it comes to predictions, you don't want to test the devil man. Because I've been right. When it comes to me making a prediction, when's the last time I made a prediction and was wrong about it? Seriously, I challenge you. I challenge you right now. Find a prediction that I've made besides the one with Lindsey Graham. I said Lindsey Graham was gonna lose. I was wrong about that one. Find me one other one other than that in the past 7 months that I've been wrong about. I made a lot of predictions in past 7 months. Find me one that I was wrong about. Seriously, find one. Go look through my video catalog and find one. You won't find one. I guarantee you. Because the one thing is that I do think a lot. I do think long and hard before I just say something. I consider every avenue, every angle of it before I just say something. And I'm going to tell you, we are in a hot zone. Shit just got real. Shit just got real, guys. That's all I got for you. I can't add anything else to that. Be safe. Good luck out there. We're all going to need it.